it's almost like you have to set bigger goals in the short term. I have to set goals I can achieve in the short term. Stretch but achieve. It's almost like you have to set goals that it will force you to stretch, but you almost never will accomplish them. And then when you get close, you have to reset.
What if I'm as humble as someone who thinks they're a loser? And believe in myself as much as the sure thing, as much as the person who's like the team that everyone's betting on. What if you have the confidence of that team with the humility of the underdog?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1912. I'm not exactly sure what the title is yet because I haven't fully chosen the title, but we're going to talk today about, for you specifically, as a human being walking this planet, floating around the planet, crawling around the planet, whatever it is that you're doing. We have some younger listeners who are probably crawling still, right? Shout out to we have some children that listen to the podcast with their parents.
I think that the podcast is on in their vicinity, yeah.
Well, they're listening with their little ears.
You imagine a little 3-year-old erudite.
No, I don't think
intelligence.
I feel like
self-awareness.
they'd probably they'd say the
First
swears. No, they'd be saying the swears before they said anything else.
Their first word, next level.
Next level. 2 words, technically.
Yeah.
Is it harder to stay humble during success, or is it harder to maintain belief when you're losing? I like questions like this because you most likely are closer to one end than the other. Alan would self-identify and say, Alan, struggle with staying humble during success. I self-identify with, when we are losing, I feel like we are losers. Less now than ever. Less now than ever. But I really think that's the point, right? That's the goal in the whole journey is, number one, you become aware of what your natural tendency is. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I used to think, and I still do, but I used to think self-belief was everything. If you didn't have self-belief, everything was Jeff. Is my hair like super wonky right now? What is happening? I still think it's of so much importance, because if you are someone like me who at the beginning of this journey would try something, and let's say you built momentum, it went well, your first, whatever it is, your first podcast, your first speech, your first coaching call, your first piece of artwork, your first page of your book, whatever, it went really well. And then the next time you did it, it went horribly wrong, and then you immediately think, wow, I suck, I can't do this. Unfortunately, if that's the mindset, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, because that mindset's going to follow you forever. On the other end, if you're someone who, when you start winning, you think everything's going to be easy and you don't have to do anything anymore, and you lose the humility to do the stuff that got you there in the first place, you're always going to wonder why you only reach a certain level of success. And the big point I want to make very quickly in this episode is, it's not as much about the thing that you're doing as the way you're doing it. If you have the mindset that if I'm losing, I can't do this, you're going to quit everything and just jump from one thing to another thing to another thing, when in reality, it's the approach more than anything. And it's the same on the other end. If you think, or if you feel like when you get results, it's really hard for you to stay humble. You're just going to jump from thing to thing to thing, when in reality, the mindset is the issue more than anything else.
I watched a movie on Netflix. Oh, no. It's based on a true story, 1936 Olympics. A young man who lost his father when he was 14, based on a true story. And they beat the record in Berlin. And he was like the ultimate underdog in the whole film. Super inspiring. They did a really good job. You'd never think a movie about crew would be awesome.
Oh, it's about crew?
Yeah.
Like the boys in the boat?
Yeah. That. Nice.
Movie.
That's the one. Did you see it?
I've seen it, yes.
It is a good movie.
I beat you with a inspirational movie. It was Taryn's idea.
It's a great idea. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was super inspiring. And the reason I bring that up is because I feel like sometimes I've lost my underdog. I think that's a real problem. And to the point of this episode, do you struggle to believe in yourself when you're losing, or do you struggle to stay humble when you're winning? I feel like it's all built on self-concept. So Kevin's self-concept when he was younger was, I'm a loser. And again, I'm overgeneralizing. It's not just I'm a loser, right? But like
that was a piece of it.
In general, okay, let me just oversimplify for a second. Mine was I'm a winner, no matter what the obstacles are. Kevin's is I'm a loser almost no matter what I do. That's just unconscious. It's something that your brain, if you study this, the neuroscience of this, self-concept starts happening the first time when you look in a mirror. It's anywhere between age 2 and 5. You start to see yourself in the mirror. Like, oh, this is me. Like little babies, when they first see their reflection, they go, wait a minute, and they touch their face. Or, oh, this is me. And then your self-concept, and there's a lot of research, we talked about the self-worth theory. There's a lot of research that talks about how your self-concept determines a lot of your success. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And this is why a lot of the saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks exists, because in the neuroscience, it's harder to change the self-concept of an adult than it is a child. And when you were younger, you basically looked around and you saw yourself and you compared yourself to the world around you, and you looked at your environment and you looked at the world, and you determined somehow unconsciously, I'm kind of a loser, I think. Am I not going to be a doctor? Am I not going to be successful? Am I not going to be an astronaut? Like that kind of thing. And again, we're generalizing. Whereas with me, I had the opposite. I had I'm going to maybe be president one day, or I'm going to start my own company one day. Maybe I can be like Steve Jobs. And that's all built on this self-concept of I am the type of person that can blank, blank, blank. And the truth is that whether you're accurate or not, like whether or not I could have been president or not, or blah, 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 what matters is, do you believe that you are someone who can achieve what you want if you want? Because if Kevin believed he was a loser on any level, why would he go for doctor? If you don't believe it's possible, you would never even shoot for it. In hindsight, now you believe that if you really wanted to, and put in the work, and had the right mentors, and you believe you could be a doctor.
I do today, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, what if 7-year-old Kevin had that as an option? You know, even when you were an all-star baseball player, sort of by accident, you didn't even know, you just were good, but you thought you got lucky. Imagine if you had a coach or a mentor who actually got you to believe that you could play D1 or that you could be in the MLB. You might have been able to. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe you've been a bench player, whatever. The still point is you could have made some good money, and, you know, it could have been awesome. The point is that all possibility is predicated on self-concept. And it's funny that you bring this topic up, because when I was watching that film this past weekend, I was thinking to myself, you know, he's such an underdog. He has no family. His dad left him. His mom died when he was young. Like, this dude is the ultimate underdog, and he's a beast. But I miss that, because now I'm successful and I'm a CEO and I have a master's, and I miss when I was younger, nobody believed that I was going to be anything. And I used to talk about these big goals and dreams, and I literally would get laughed at. And now I know why. I mean, it is kind of crazy. But I miss and to bring it back to the original point of this episode, if you do struggle to stay humble when you're successful, you're on my end, you probably believe in yourself a lot. If you struggle to believe in yourself when you're down and out, you most likely have a self-concept like Kev's. And that doesn't mean we don't struggle with both, because I know some people that are actually don't believe in themselves, and actually when they start winning, they do struggle with humility as well. But the last piece of this monologue here is, how can we get the strengths of both sides? Let's answer that question for a second. What if I'm as humble as someone who thinks they're a loser, and believe in myself as much as the sure thing, as much as the person who's like the team that everyone's betting on? What if you have the confidence of that team with the humility of the underdog? To me, that is like my dream right there. That's my dream. That's who I want to be. That's who I used to be, and who I need to get back to. Because now that we're winning and all that, I don't know. I'm not into winning as much as I am to like grinding.
I've noticed. Yes. Yeah, I've noticed. I don't know. How do you get both? You set a long-term goal that you can never accomplish?
Done.
Done. That's done. So that's something.
And then short-term milestones that get you there. But never get you there.
Yeah, would it be short-term milestones that make you feel good about yourself? Doesn't really work. Like, how do you?
Yeah.
That's why it's so hard. I don't know outside of having two people. I don't really know how to do it.
You've expressed in the past how challenging it has been to work with me because you feel like I purposely choose the harder road at all times.
I hate it. I can't stand it.
Well, I think that's
with
why.
With love.
Yeah. Fair.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
I think one of the reasons why is because the easy road never creates the most growth. And long-term growth is what ultimately matters. And
well, we were talking about this behind the scenes. We were talking about how at some point we have to hide money from Alan.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that there is any.
Yeah.
And for me, I need to know that there is. Because I don't really... Like right now, I couldn't tell you how many... We've gotten a lot of NLPS clients over the last month and a half, 2 months. If anything, that makes me want to get more clients, not stop.
Yeah. For me, it makes me a little more complacent. Not a lot. I'm not just complacent, but it does. It makes me it's a little less of that. I need to fight for every dollar. I need to fight for every moment. There's something about being an underdog that I think I'm trying to stay in alignment with, and I think that's messing up your ability to feel abundant. Which we're gonna figure that out. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give Kev a big enough salary to where he can be abundant while I'm still an underdog.
Do you think that there's an opportunity and growth in that? Just like you could say to me, well, Kev, it doesn't matter that we're losing. You still have to believe in yourself. It's like, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thanks so much for that breakthrough.
And it doesn't matter that you're winning, Alan. You still have to stay humble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes and yes and no. Well, I'll never be as scarce as I was growing up.
Yeah.
Growing up when my stepdad left, I got free lunch at school. When you get free lunch at school, it's basically Massachusetts saying, hey, you have no money. Yeah. We're going to make sure we feed you at school. And I remember shopping at Salvation Army. I mean, we didn't have any money. We didn't even know how we were going to keep the house. And I miss that somewhat. Like, I miss what that created. Let me reframe. I don't miss that. That was awful. It was honestly terrible. Like, my childhood was so alarmingly bad in hindsight. But what it built in me, I'm very proud of. I've never had such high self-worth in the sense of, last week we were with family for Thanksgiving, and I guess 2 weeks ago. And I just had this moment of, there's something about me that's so different. Because I only have my mom there. I don't have any other family. And that's why that movie resonated so deeply, because he doesn't have a family. This is it for him. Like, he doesn't have anything else. There's nothing but the boat. That I feel that so strongly with NLU. Like, there is nothing else. Obviously, there's Emilia and my little family now, which is a whole different level for me. But I remember when it was you versus what's possible, and no one thought you'd actually do anything. Like that. And I just feel like I've lost that a little bit. But enough about me. Let's bring this back to the listener. How do you have work ethic like an underdog with the belief of someone who maybe has a high self-concept.
Well, you got to figure out what end are you on first, and then what do we have to do to work the other side. I think that's, in a nutshell, I think that's the simplest answers. Okay, right now, every time you take an L, you feel like it's the end of the world. Okay, let's focus on taking smaller L's. Because if you're taking your L, if the loss you're taking is bigger than the belief that you have, I'm telling you, it's easy to pack up and go home. This is not for me. This just isn't for me. And then on the other end, if you're somebody who loses, what I would say to you, if you and I were behind the scenes, and you said, Kev, the goal we have to have the most successful, impactful self-improvement company on the planet, and to change the world in the way we want to change the world, that's never going to happen. So we're always up against this massive goal that we're going to be chasing forever. And even if it does happen, well, you could do it better and more, right? Consistently, all that.
Yeah, the infinite game.
The infinite game, yes. Infinite versus finite. That's there. It's almost like you have to set bigger goals in the short term. I have to set goals I can achieve in the short term.
Yeah.
Stretch but achieve. It's almost like you have to set goals that it will force you to stretch, but you almost never will accomplish them. And then when you get close, you have to reset. So I want to have 30 clients that I coach every month. Awesome, cool. That's not enough. It probably needs to be 45. Because that way you'll actually suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer. And then you'll get to 42 and then you'll burn down. And I don't think most people statistically are on that end. But I think it's long-term, short-term. Thoughts on all that?
Well, what's underneath all this, and I love this conversation, is motivation. What ignites Kevin is winning. What ignites me is losing. So we're trying to manufacture, that's the wrong word. We're trying to create the formula for maximum motivation. I don't like not being ignited. I don't like feeling lazy. I don't like it. It's like that guy in that film, again, he's doing the boat with his mentor he's working late nights, he's early mornings, he's working harder than everybody else. That's who I am. Like, that's who I am at my core. I don't like hanging out. For me, it's like there's something that happens. And again, for those of you who are out there who really didn't don't know maybe what it's like to feel like you don't have another choice. Because Emilia, the coolest part about Emilia is she had an option. She chose the harder road, even though she had an alternative. And I talked to her about this weekend. I'm like, I didn't have another choice, so I had to figure this out. And I never talk about it, probably because I'm too scared to talk about how bad my childhood was on a public medium. But I'm just done not talking about it, and I think I'm done not being me. And all of us should be trying to create our own optimal motivation. Like, if you're not motivated right now, if you're out there right now and you're not motivated, what do you need to be motivated? For me, I need a goal that's deeply meaningful. I need people counting on me. I need enough scarcity to know that I cannot take it easy. I can't be the best on the court, metaphorically. I don't like, when I was playing basketball, I was always trying to beat someone. There's a guy named Mike in our town who was always better than me. And I was always close, but I was never there. I like being an underdog. I don't want to be the best on any court. And when I've gotten older and older and older and older and older, it's been harder and harder to find rooms where people are more ignited than me, people that are more motivated than me. And that's actually really scary to share out loud. But the truth is it's very rare that I'm with someone who's more dialed in than me. That's why I love being with Emilia, because she's ahead of me in so many things that it's so inspiring for me. I don't personally want to be, it's a weird paradox. I want to be the best and the best version of myself, but I don't like being the best. I don't like being the most dialed. Like this time of year, a lot of people are relaxing. And for me, I don't like it because I don't have anyone to look to for inspiration as much as, some other times during the year. And so I have to evolve, ultimately, is what this is. However, I also can't forget where I came from. And for anyone out there, are you on the end where you just struggle to believe in yourself. So you need to focus most of your time and effort on just setting up the dominoes that are small enough to knock over, but big enough to matter. Or are you on my end where it's like, yo, you need to sit in the mirror and go, you are not even scratching your potential. This is nothing compared to what you are capable of. And then find a way to align that with something that's aligned with your passion and your purpose. And I like that the whole team is counting on me in a way, because it helps me. Having Emilia and having our home and having more responsibility and having people counting on me has helped me stay really, really, really motivated. And for me, I'm not fulfilled when I'm not motivated, because I would be lying if I didn't share that I think a lot of people are entitled and lazy. Not everyone, but I do think a lot of people in the world have lost sight of suffering. There's a lot of people out there that work harder for minimum amount of money, and then I see people that are like really entitled and they have these great fat salaries for minimal effort, and it's like you have lost sight. You've lost perspective on what it's like to really suffer. And there's people out there that are suffering, and I have so much reverence for the people that are out there grinding for their well-being and for their quality of life. I don't like the people that show up with generational wealth and they've lost sight of what it's like to not eat. They've lost sight of what it's like to not know if they can go to college. They lost sight of what it's like to not know where their next paycheck is coming from or whether or not they can pay their bills. You know, I can just see it all over them. It's a level of entitlement that just bothers me, when in reality, I think that the best part of human nature is when you're in your sweet spot of both challenge and humility and self-belief.
Kid's fired up.
Yeah, I had a good weekend. I got very
fired
inspired
up.
this weekend.
Fired up. I respect it. All right, maybe we'll do a part 2, because I knew we only had 20 minutes. And it went longer and different than I thought, so maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point. But Alan has a call I want to make sure he gets to, because Alan's got a lot of clients to coach, and we want to make sure we're on time. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. Subscribe if you want all that happy jazz. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.